I am indeed delighted to be delivering this inaugural talk on IoT, and especially that the program has been initiated by the Rajiv Gandhi National Institute of Youth Development in collaboration with the NIT TRICHY, NIT Jalandhar, and the industry partner of NTS Chennai. And it's really a wonderful thing that we have 140 young participants attending this webinar. But during the pandemic time, it's all the more important that we should find ways to see that we are engaged with the latest thing. And in this aspect, I congratulate the major initiative by the Rajiv Gandhi National Institute of Youth Development for offering such wonderful events on emerging topics. And I am here to give a complete overview on IoT, what is IoT, where it has started, how it is going to go, what are the components of IoT, and what are the applications of IoT, then how it is evolving, and it has now come to what is now called Internet of Everything. Okay. So with this brief thing, I once again thank the organizers for inviting me to this keynote address, and I'm really delighted to be with the young participants, and so many interesting things you will definitely find. And I am also happy that you have many hands-on sessions thanks to NTS initiative. And I'm going to talk about what is IoT, how it has evolved, and so on and so forth. Okay. Now, please, Mr. David. Yeah. So we begin with the internet. We all heard about it. Okay, internet is basically a global computer network providing a variety of information and communication facilities consisting of interconnected networks using standardized communication protocols. I wish to stress the following thing. First is the global. Okay, it's not just a network of few persons, but it's global. Okay, then the second thing is not just the information, but it's a whole lot of variety of information. Then the interconnected networks in some form and according to certain standardized communication protocols. In fact, to be frank with you, the internet has come to common person. Okay, somewhere around the early 90s. Till then, it was just with the academic elites. Okay, 1990 saw slowly and steadily more and more, of course, the academician next level as well as the common person started using it. And my experience goes back to 1994 or 93 when I was doing my MTech at IIT Delhi, where very few had access to internet, and with some help from the lab in charge, I could just browse the internet. And I'm sure, I mean, many of you would not have heard about the world's first internet browser produced by Netscape. The name of the browser is Navigate. The Navigate name has origin from our ancient Sanskrit, the word Navgit. Navgit means to explore. Okay, a wonderful thing the Netscape Navigator had. You will just find at the top right corner, that box, you will find the shooting stars. Okay, so you all heard about the shooting stars, and that is truly a wonderful world's first internet browser. And I had a chance to work on that. And believe me, the modern internet browsers are, in fact, compared to that, you are lucky that we had the Netscape Navigator. Okay. Anyhow, then later it became the Internet Explorer, and so many other players have come into this domain. And now what you have is in fact, Google has become the default browser for every one of us. Okay. Now, what is this IoT? Internet of Things is just the interconnection via, please note the word via, okay, via the Internet of computing devices embedded in everyday objects, enabling them to send and receive data. In fact, we are now living in an era of, always immersing in data. The data could be just a text, or it could be even a multimedia thing. Okay, so whether you like it or not, we are in our day-to-day activities in a variety of scenarios. Without knowing ourselves, we are into the data kind of thing. And sometime around 2008-9, when more things connected to internet than people. So the experts found that more things got connected to internet than the people. Effectively meaning that there were few users who had more than one devices. Okay, that's what it means. Among the number of users, okay, you will find many of them had more than one devices. Their devices could be a sensor, it could be, and close to that, the cloud computing and the practice of using a network of remote servers hosted on the internet to store, manage, and process data rather than a local server or a personal computer. In fact, cloud computing has been contributing significantly to many of us, okay, in the context of the information technology. Okay, one need not to own an exclusive server, one need not to own exclusive computing devices, one need not to own the a range of accessories. It's all there. Okay, so, and Amazon has been a pioneer in cloud computing, and they came up with their own cloud computing called EC2. And very interesting thing, as you all know, that Amazon started around 2000 when the founder felt that in the years to come it's going to be the internet, and this was started in around 2000. And when Jeff Bezos felt that one need not go to showroom, one need not visit shops and things like that. So how about bring everything to the living room or dining room or whatever that the thing. Okay, so it is truly the foresight of Amazon way back in 2000. Imagining that with the help of affordable internet technologies, all these things will be brought to individuals' doorstep. Okay, that was just the beginning. Then now you all know that where Amazon stands, and without Amazon, how the life would be and things like that. Okay, next. Now let us look at the components of a typical software application. So one is you have the data storage, then you have the core logic, then you have the user interface. Traditionally, the three components used to sit on the same computer, but days are changing fast. And next, how about having them in different places? Okay, you have data storage in some place, you have core logic in another place, you have user interface in yet another place, and you can just see these things are interconnected and they interact with one another in some specified way. Okay, and this is being facilitated by what is now popularly called the cloud computing. Okay. Next. Okay, so cloud computing, as we have seen, it started emerging somewhere around 2008, and it consists of development of self-contained components, delivering these components as services, similar to utilities like electricity, mobile network, etc., etc. As you go on using it, you pay for your use. Okay, and please note that without large infrastructural cost. An important feature of cloud is elasticity. Okay. Provide resources to scale up or take away resources to scale down as per the need. Okay. Next. Now let us look at the kind of relationship between IoT and the cloud. In fact, both are a kind of cousins. Okay, without one, other cannot be there. Something like that. Okay, the more IoT, the more cloud computing, and also the more cloud computing, inherently the more IoT. Next. Yeah. So, what is Internet of Things? Okay, you have smart sensors communicate, talk to each other, connect to the cloud through gateway, router. The data generated by sensors can grow huge. In fact, the word huge is meant for some layman, but we should be talking in terms of terabytes of information or gigabytes of information. 1 gigabyte is 1024 megabytes, and 1024 megabytes is 1 gigabyte, and 1024 gigabytes is 1 terabytes, and so on and so forth. Just to get a feel of what is a terabytes, you all heard about the movie, very well-known movie, Avatar, and the Avatar needs several terabytes of storage devices, and you all know the interesting thing about the Avatar movie, lot of multimedia, lot of graphics and things like that. So you need several terabytes of data storage to store this film. Okay, so we are now truly living in an era of terabytes of information, and the data generated by sensors keep growing in a very fast way. Next. It is just the IoT is with us now, and it is now called IoE, as we see towards the end of this presentation. And you all know that the global population is around 7 billion, and the industry estimates that around as many as 50 billion smart objects within quote smart objects. Okay, the objects could be anything. Okay, it could be your smartphone, it could be many other industrial products and so on and so forth. Okay. Next. Yeah. So it is estimated that the population is about 7.6 billion, and the number of connected devices, as we all already heard about connected devices. Okay, these devices are connected through internet, and they perform in some specified way. They interact with one another, and according to certain procedures. Okay, and the industry estimated that close to 15 billion connected devices are there, and it works out to be roughly per citizen of this world about 6.58. Of course, there is nothing like a fraction. So it says that about 6 connected devices per citizen of this world is current thing. and you and I know that the trend is definitely going to go up. Okay. So next. And also, it is estimated that the world generates more than 2 exabytes of data every day. Okay. So 1 exabyte is 1024 terabytes. Okay. Now you can just see the Avatar movie required a few terabytes in order to be stored in a storage device, and you and I, like like us, every citizen in the world, are generating data, and it is of the order of 2 exabytes every day, not just one day. Okay. So we are all familiar with the saying "good night" to our friends, dear ones. Okay, I just want to reproduce a typical 1 minute WhatsApp communication between two friends. So of course, about 10 or 10:30, it's time to say good night. Okay, and the friend says, "I'm going to bed." Okay, take care, like that. Immediately within a minute, he got as many as 90 responses. Okay, and one says that don't keep a pillow left side. Another says that don't keep a pillow at all. Yet another says that keep a water nearby, and so on and so forth. And believe me, as much as 90% of this data generated is of less use or hardly just to throw away and things like that. And you and I are responsible for generating close to 2 exabytes of data on a daily basis. Okay. Next. Now let us look at the impact of IoT on many domains. Next. Now, the major thing is that how are we going to aggregate the data? What are the data aggregation challenges? Okay. So, close to 500 gigabytes of data generated by an offshore oil rig weekly, and about 1.1 billion data points generated by sensors daily, and about 1000 gigabytes of data generated by an oil refinery daily, about 10,000 gigabytes data generated by a jet engine every 30 minutes, and about 2.5 billion gigabytes data generated worldwide daily. And it is estimated that as much as 90% of the world's data has been created in just 2 years. Okay. Next. Now let us look at the impact of IoT. Okay, so these are just pictorial description of the influence of IoT on lifestyle, on automotive, on healthcare, and residential, energy, industrial, and so on and so forth. In fact, it is not that the impact is restricted only to these 6 major areas. In fact, there are many more areas are there. Okay. Next. Now let us look at the drivers of IoT. Drivers are enablers of IoT. And we all know that any innovation that takes place, okay, and more innovation and change than at any other point in our technology transitions. So any innovation that takes place in storage devices will also influence the other related devices. Okay. So you can just see that the technology transitions from bring your own device to cloud and so on and so forth. Now let us look at the gateway of IoT. A gateway connects two dissimilar networks so that data can flow between them. Usually, this is a connection between proprietary network and the internet. Okay. For example, in home automation, different utilities companies may install a wide variety of IoT devices, and you all know that home automation is there for controlling your refrigerator, for controlling your air conditioner, for controlling your cooking appliances, for controlling your managing your music systems, and so on and so forth. Okay, you just look at this diagram. The left bubble says that you have wireless, you have observing physical environment, and so on. And these are connected to gateway, then data collection, data processing. Then after processing and analyzing the data, you get what is called the useful information. Please note that all these things are taking place in the cloud. Okay, so you call it a central server and so on. And finally, you have what is called the information that is passed on to the domain experts. Okay. So just look at that one. Machines are nearly equal to devices, and devices are nearly equal to sensors, and sensors are nearly equal to things. Next. So let us look at the sensors and the IoT. Next. So you just see in this diagram, you have the typical IoT system, you have the major part is embedded system, and you have the Li-Poly battery supply, then you have sensing element, you have processing unit, you have communication, it could be wired or wireless, then you have the application tools, then you have the APIs and gateway, and this is the whole thing is connected to your cloud. Next. So what is a sensor? A sensor typically measures or identifies a particular physical quantity. Next. Sensors convert the physical properties to electrical signals understandable by machines. Next. Sensors are ubiquitous. So what do you mean by, what do you understand by ubiquitous? I'm sure everybody knows gravity. Okay. But have you seen gravity? No, we can only feel gravity. Okay. So ubiquitous means that you may not be able to see. Okay. You may not be able to touch it, but you may feel it. Okay. So sensors are inherently ubiquitous. Okay. You may not see. In fact, in a smartphone, there are so many utilities are there. You know, when I walk for a long distance, my phone says that congrats, you have completed 10,000 steps. So you are just wondering who has picked up these details. Okay, as you will see later that there are specialized sensors. Okay, so which do this job. Okay, so sensors are inherently ubiquitous. Ubiquitous means that you may not be able to see, but you may be able to. You will be able to feel what it is. Example is gravity. Okay, gravity you cannot see, but you can feel. Okay, next. So sensors are ubiquitous, and this slide says that thank you, Mother Nature. You have ears, tongue, skin, eyes, nose, and so many other things. All these things are, interrelated. They interact with one another to perform certain desired activities. Next. Next. So, in fact, instead of saying sensors are there in smartphones, sensors are there in fuel stations, sensors are there in a spacecraft, and so on and so forth. In one sentence, we can just say that without sensors, nothing is there. Okay, that's the kind of scenario we are now encountering. Okay. Next. So, what are the human-made sensors? Okay, one is the temperature, another one to measure the humidity, yet another one is the photodiode, then pressure, proximity, compass, motion, gas concentration, microphone, touch screen, camera, antenna, and so on and so forth. These are some of the popular human-made sensors. Next. Okay. Is watch a sensor? Yes, no. How many yes? How many no? Is watch a sensor? By watch, I mean a smartwatch. Okay. So the answer is yes, because these days a smartwatch has. Thank you, Rishi. Thank you, Ravi. Okay. Next. Is RFID tag a sensor, radio frequency identifier? Yes, the answer is yes. We are into so many of these things in many of our day-to-day activities. Yes, Deepika, thank you. Next. And there are sometimes, intrinsic noise in sensors. Okay, response of a static unit in IMU system. Okay, did you observe noise or non-aligned response? You have the sensors, which are designed, which are, which are deployed to capture the intrinsic noise. Okay, so same color data indicates same direction or acceleration or rotation, but from different sensors. Okay. Next. Next. Yeah, this is just a typical example of position error growth. You have the true trajectory and you have the start point in green and you have the red line indicating estimated. Next. Next. Now, we are now living in an era of what is called the working with the low cost sensors. Okay, all these things contribute to the common person in order to uh, in order to make IoT or IoE as a part and parcel of many of our activities. So it is all the more important that you consider how to produce sensors at affordable rate. Okay, so the motion sensors, you have the perfect motion estimation, you have the perfect motion model, motion sensors not required. Next. Next. And you have the perfect motion sensors and you have the perfect motion estimation. So here motion model is not required. Next. Yeah. Now our objective is to come up with the low cost sensors. Okay. Neither you need a model nor you need a sensor, but you want a perfect motion estimation. Okay. Next. So it is now possible low cost motion sensors. Okay. With the help of fusion. Okay. One can get the low cost motion sensors. Next. Okay. Next. Yet another example for position estimation of stacker reclaimer, and you just see that the motion model, this huge machine moves in a straight line. Okay, so you can just imagine what kind of sensors are needed to ensure that the massive equipment moves in straight line. Okay, next. So smart sensor nodes for IoT, in fact, a sophisticated sensor node. Next. Yeah. So you just need a sensing element, and this particular thing is in the domain called healthcare. Next. So you can just see that ICP, intracranial pressure sensor for brain fluid pressure monitoring. It is cylindrical shaped tip with a diameter of close to 2 mm. Next. And this is the chip that is used. Next. And the output is analog, and it contains only the pressure sensor sensing die. Next. The PDR sensors for indoor pedestrian positioning. Okay. What is inside? 4 9-axis IMU chipsets, 32-bit floating point microprocessor controller. Then you have the Bluetooth, you have the USB interface, you have the battery management circuit, you have the LED indicators, then you have the power switch, then JTAG interface, and so on. Next. So what is a multi-sensor systems? Next. You have the classical multi-sensor system, you have GPS, and you have motion sensors, and so on. The multi-sensor joint system, you have the multiple non-rigidly connected IMUs, results in dynamic diversity, and you have collocated multi-sensor systems. Okay, an array of well-placed IMUs provides new opportunities of sensing. Next. Next. Yeah. A smart sensor node for IoT. You have sensing element, you have circuit, you have excitation, and so on. Next. This excitation circuit basically to excite electrically and amplification, etc. The digital compatibility, analog to digital, and data X for protocols, and so on. Next. So IoT system compatibility, that talks about takes care of computation, power management, wireless, and data communication protocol, and so on. Next. So important system design coordinates. One is the performance, other one is the power, and third one is the surface area, then the cost. Okay. Please note that when you talk about IoT, it is inherently implied that the scaling. Okay. So one need to be in a position to scale it up, as we talked about cloud computing. When the requirements are more, the cloud computing should be able to scale it up to fulfill the users, and the requirements are down, and the cloud computing also should come down. Okay. In its application, in its infrastructure, in its facilities. Okay. So the same for IoT also. Next. So this is the IoT system with the smart sensors. Okay. So as usual, you have the wireless or wire thing, the smart sensor nodes, and these are linked to the gateway, and you have the cloud, and we all know that the cloud is of 3 types. We call it the public cloud, then private cloud, and the hybrid cloud. Okay, and the cloud has facilities for collecting data. It also has tools for processing, analyze the data, and further tools for extracting relevant information. Then this is passed on to domain experts for taking informed decision. Next. So this is the kind of distribution of computation. On the one side you have low level computation, on the other side you have the high level computation. The low level computation is the one where you have the smart sensor kind of thing, the IoT system compatibility, digital compatibility, and so on and so forth. So these things are grouped and then they come under a low level computation. The high level computation is your hybrid cloud. Okay. What is desirable is the increased capabilities at the local node and reduce the requirements on the connectivity, providing the backend with the high level information, then simplified data interface. These are the desirable thing when you say that you have a smart IoT system. Next. Just a simple case study, shoe mounted PDR sensor. Okay. So purpose is to record the movements of a person who is having a shoe mounted PDR sensor. Okay, and it is a real time. See, as the person making the steps, okay, the PDR should measure certain parameters, and you can just see the typical PDR sensor. Okay, shoe mounted PDR sensor. Okay, so wireless transmission is taking place, and you also have that. So let us look at the IoT system overview. Next. So capturing real world. What do we understand by capturing real world? In fact, we are now living in an era of real-time systems. Okay, as we are talking, how many times we have used the word cloud computing for the past 5 minutes and things like that. Okay, so requirements are there in a real-time scenario. Okay, what attributes of a system you would like to capture? System state and immediate surrounding. Then how would you monitor a moving machine? Say a robot by attaching sensor devices. Next. So what if you have to monitor humans? How is monitoring of humans different from robots? Next. One is that human behavior, different abstraction level, hard to completely capture by a machine. Okay, and there is hardly any standards for human behavior. So that is the major hurdle when you consider human behavior. Next. Yeah. So I am sure many of you would have heard about this film. Many of you would have seen this film more than one time. And the person who is there also, Hrithik Roshan. Okay, a very popular film. Okay, so just look at that, how to monitor humans and superhumans. So we are now living in an era of how to monitor, superhumans. Okay. Next, just see the kind of sensors placed. Yeah. So this is one sensor. Okay. Like that, many are there, and Hrithik Roshan is fitted with several sensors and so on and so forth. By the way, the smartphone, thanks to the affordable technology, in fact, many of us with little effort can be a proud owner of a smartphone. Okay, and your smartphone is truly a hub of sensors. Okay, so you have what is called a touch screen, and you have a light, you have Wi-Fi, you have the wind speed, You have Bluetooth, you have GPS, you have proximity, then you have, and so on and so forth. Next. So you, next. Okay. Please note that previous slide, previous slide, previous slide. Yeah. Please note that these days we are into downloading of apps, and it is claimed that many apps say that it is free download, free download. Please note that nothing in this world is free. Okay, in the process of making you to download, they will be able to extract lot many information about you. That's why I said nothing is free in this world. Okay, when you know, app developer offers a free download, okay, it doesn't mean that you get truly free. Okay, in the process, the moment you download the app, you will start, without your knowledge, some information about you are shared or passed on to the app owner. Okay, next. Yeah. So how to monitor humans? Okay, we just continue this one, and it says that as usual, you have the sensor passes these details to the cloud, and the cloud obediently collects the data, and with some specialized tools, the processing is done, analysis is done, and you have some useful information. Okay, then finally you take what is called informed decision making, and this is normally done by domain experts. Again, please note that these domain experts are again a collection of specialized software tools. Okay, next. So you have the, just look at this caption of this slide. Download my app and allow me to monitor you. Okay, actually, in the and allow me to monitor you is something hidden. Okay, as I already mentioned, okay, the app specialists say that apps are free. You can download and things like that. Okay, but as I already mentioned, okay, in the process of downloading and started using the app, okay, you start sharing some of your details to the app vendor. Okay, so you have special discount on placing order from app. You have download my app and get discount on your first transaction. Download my app and so on. Then download my app for our free services. And every active app transmits data to a separate cloud. Okay. Next. By the way, Facebook also gathers data about the users. Okay. And again, nothing is free in this world. So don't think that Google Gmail is free. So I am using generously the Gmail and so on. In a similar way, the WhatsApp, Facebook, all these things are having some mechanism to collect data, pass it to, suppose you are passionate about computers, okay, and you have WhatsApp or you have Facebook, you are an active Facebook user. These details are, without your knowledge, your details are passed on to the computer vendors, okay, who will then call you sometime later to say, we are so and so, would you like to purchase our things and things like that. So this is the role of Facebook or the WhatsApp played, okay. And again, as I mentioned that without your knowledge, many of your details are shared with many others, and those things are held in private cloud. And you all know the difference between public cloud and the private cloud. Private cloud is a cloud facility, cloud computing facilities exclusively owned by a single person or a team of persons or a single organization for their own use. Okay. On the other hand, public cloud means that it's free for all, anybody can use it and so on. In a similar way, anybody can also see who you are, what you are, and things like that. Though the products these days claim that we have encryption mechanism, we don't know what you are sharing, but believe me, definitely what is there on the internet, it's all there for everybody to see. Okay, next. Okay, so we are into a kind of not just an IoT system, but a gigantic IoT system. You just see here multiple clouds. You just see, several smartphones and so on. Next. Next. And just see the connections. Okay. So that's why the adjective, not just an IoT system, it is truly a gigantic IoT system with the multi-sensor nodes with the multiple clouds. Okay, and these, the collection of devices. Some may be smartphones, some may be specialized sensors, some may be other devices, and so on and so forth. You can just see that how these are connected with one another first, and how these are connected with the different cloud service providers. Next. And alternatively, it's a two-way kind of thing. From cloud also you get details. From sensors also you get to, you pass it, the details to cloud. Okay. So let us look at some of the typical applications of IoT. Next. So smart grid. So we are all familiar with the grid network, which is nothing but the grid term is exclusively for electricity. You have power grid, and these days people talk about the smart grid. Okay, nothing but intelligent electricity network. Okay, in the sense that we would like the grid to have the required intelligence. Okay, for a variety of reasons, you and I, or the technicians or professionals, may not be present all the time. Okay, may not be present at all places of the grid. Okay, so we would like to have what is called a smart grid. It's nothing but an intelligent electricity network, meaning that automatically monitor and manage a grid. Okay, it's just a continuous monitoring and managing of grid, then using smart meters and other smart devices and gain insights about usage for better efficiency. Some typical examples are load balancing and accident prevention, theft detection, and reduce power and revenue losses. And it's a two-way flow of electricity and information. More the requirement, more the generation of electricity, and so on and so forth. Next. So what are the smart grid components? You have on the one side smart appliances, you have smart meters and smart substations and synchro phases. Next. So smart grid and IoT are inherently interlinked with one another. So IoT-enabled home storage devices intelligently interact with the smart grid. And to understand the peak demand, imagine the house automation system. Okay, in the evening time when the family members are all back to home, and you have on the one side cooking activity, on the other side using of refrigerators, yet another side using of heater devices, heater appliances, using of entertainment systems, and so on, using of washing machine, and so on and so forth. Okay. So here you need to have more the requirements, more electricity is needed. But that's not the case when many members are not there, you know, during the daytime when the children go to school or college, when the spouses are attending offices and so on. So obviously in the daytime, okay, not much usage is there. So the IoT and with some specified way should tell the grid that I don't need so much power supply, okay, and things like that. When more requirements are there, the grid should be able to provide satisfy the requirements. Okay, so we call it the smart grid. Okay, next, and just look at the word prosumer. Okay, so producer plus consumer, you have the word prosumer. I wonder whether the dictionary companies have taken note of this one, but slowly, steadily, they will also start listing this word prosumer, meaning that you have producer and consumer. Okay. Next. So this is just a typical example of a smart grid and IoT. Next. So what are the smart grid and IoT challenges? One is that the privacy, the security, then fairness. Okay. So privacy and security have been there as and when you have advancement in technology, as and when you have affordable technologies. Okay. So as I already mentioned, you know, that when you start using the Facebook, when you start using the WhatsApp, okay. So there is hardly any guarantee that your personal details are not shared, okay, and so on and so forth. And these days, here and there, we come across what is called the cyber physical attacks. Okay. Entire facilities are the facilities meant for public utilities are attacked for some reason or other. And you have the what is called the blackouts that took place in Venezuela in 2019. Okay, it was a sheer compromise on security in the Ukraine in 2015, a complete blackout. So the whole system has become vulnerable. Okay, then fairness, how to distribute fair share of resources. Okay. These are some of the challenges when you have a smart grid and IoT together. Next. So these are some of the IoT applications, smart cities, etc. Next. Next. Yeah. So we are into what is now called the evolution of IoT, or in a way the IoT domain has nearly matured. Okay. So obviously you need to have what is next. Okay. Next to IoT is what? So that's called the Internet of Everything. And let us look at why the community has come up with this transition from IoT to IoE. If you just look at the bottom four bullets, it will be very clear. These days, mobility is very high, and also affordable cloud computing facilities. And yet another thing is the big data. Big data means that four or three characteristics of big data, or three V's we call it: volume of data. We are now living in an era of terabytes of information. Okay, as I already shared it with you, just a 2-minute conversation between two friends saying good night, has generated several responses in 2 minutes. In just 1 minute, more than 90 responses. Okay, so we are now, whether you like it or not, data gets generated. Okay, and velocity means that the no, real time. Okay, so as we are talking, okay, in the last 2 minutes, how many times we have used the cloud computing? So it is a real-time thing response. So it qualifies for big data and variety. Again, those days have gone where you have highly structured data. We are now living in an era of internet where as much as 80% of the data is highly semi-structured or unstructured. Okay, so it is obviously a big data. And I am sure many of you heard about the Internet Protocol version 4 and Internet Protocol version 6. And a few years back, the Internet Consortium has strongly suggested the user community to switch over to Internet Protocol version 6. The reason is that the Internet address space was not adequate with Internet Protocol version 4. So they came up with what is called the Internet IPv6, which has the 3.4 into 10 power 38 addresses. Without troubling you much, it is roughly estimated to be 50 billion devices currently. Okay, and billions upon billions more. Okay, so as we have seen, the projection for the number of devices, average number of devices per person in the world is about 6 devices per citizen of this world, and it is growing like anything. And the experts have estimated that it's about 50 billion devices that are connected, etc., etc. So, in order to, and you all know that all these things, most of the activities are facilitated through internet. And when you use internet with all these connected devices, you need to have, massive number of addresses. Okay, and thanks to the Internet Protocol version 6, which has more than 50, which has nearly 3.4 into 10 power 38 addresses. Okay, next. So the amount of value an organization derives from IOE depends on its ability to capture transitions such as cloud, mobility, and the IoT. For example, smart grid is a solution that realizes the benefit of the IOE by improving energy efficiency on the electricity grid provided by utilities and where the energy is used in homes and offices. IoT is about how to connect the unconnected, making things accessible by the internet. As it relates to IoT, IoE is addressing why we are connecting the unconnected. Next. So this is just a picture, okay, telling us why we need IoE. As the famous saying goes, a picture is worth more than 1,000 words. Okay, it's enough you just have this picture and you can write several pages on why we need IoE. Okay, a very interesting picture, and you need IoE for industrial processing. You need IoE for agriculture and breeding. You need IoE for medical and health care. You need IoE for independent living. You need IoE for public safety and environment monitor. You need IoE for smart home, smart buildings. You need IoE for smart grid and so on and so forth. Okay, that's why the bullets are shown as continuing. Okay, we don't stop with this. We have many more things, so we need IoE. So please note that from IoT we have shifted to IoE for 2-3 reasons. One is that the number of devices per average citizen works out to be 6. Okay, so you have more than 50 billion, more than 30 to 40 billion devices are connected. Okay, what they do, how they do, that's a different question. But devices are there. Okay, and most of the things, these things are taking place through internet. Okay, so the need for IoE is that one is that IPv6 has come. Then other thing is that the smart sensors and things like that, and so on. Okay, so you need to have the IoE. Okay, because of the number of devices increasing and the activities also increasing, and so on and so forth. Next. So it is found that IoE adds to productivity and comfort to our day-to-day activities. While while I am driving back to home, dinner starts and thermostat adjusts the temperature of the home. My electric blanket adjusts its heat by communicating with the body temperature measuring wristband. I can locate my keys using my phone, and so on and so on. There are so many things these days. This modern living has exploited the benefits of IoE, and slowly, steadily, more and more people started moving towards IoE for two reasons. One is that the comfort they want is increasing. They want more and more comfort, and they also want to enhance their productivity. Next. And as that picture is worth 1,000 words, we have also mentioned there are many industrial benefits. Okay? I'm sure many would not have seen the small boxes provided to industrial benefits. So here it is given that improving the efficiency of energy extensive machine instrumentation, proactive maintenance, then asset tracking, then remote control and monitoring, agriculture, healthcare, and so on and so forth. Next. Next. Okay, so let's look at the big picture of the growth. General Electric estimates the industrial internet, okay, will add 10 to 15 trillion dollars to global GDP over the next 20 years. By the way, 1 million is what? 1 million is what? 1 followed by 6 zeros. 1 billion is 1 followed by 9 zeros. And 1 trillion is 1 followed by 12 zeros. Okay. Now it is the General Electric, a reputed multinational company, has estimated that the industrial internet will add about 10 to 15 trillion dollars to global GDP over the next 20 years. And Cisco forecast 19 trillion to economic value created by 50 billion IoT devices in 2020. And Gartner, a very well-known global consulting firm, estimates that IoE products, services, and supplies will generate incremental revenue exceeding 300 billion in currently 2020. Of course, some of these forecasts were provided before pandemic, and it is likely that the figures quoted may be slightly, over quoted. Okay, but as we all know that thanks to innovation taking place in vaccine development, the technology, the whole thing is coming back to normal. Okay, so if not in 2020, 2021, we'll see the IoE products, services, etc. Will generate about $300 billion, if not in 2020, 2021. And as I mentioned, 1 billion is 1 followed by 9 zeros. $1 as per the current exchange is about 74 rupees. So IDC forecast world market for IOE solutions grow from 1.9 trillion in 2013 to 7.1 trillion in 2020. Next. So let's look at the basic IOE architecture. You have applications at the top, then you have the service platform, then of course this you have next is the internet, then you have the gateway and short range communication devices. And look at the bottommost thing, your we call it IOE edges. Okay, so what are these things? You have smart sensor, you have GPS, or you have actuators, you have thermostats, you have light bulb, electric blanket, etc., etc. So whole range of IOE edges at the bottom, and applications may not know all these things. Okay, that's why somewhere we mentioned it is ubiquitous. Okay, you and I may not know what is lying there. Okay, but we get the benefit of those IOE edges. Next. Next. So you have alternative architecture. Okay, internet protocol at the edge. You have application service platform, then internet. Okay, then the IOE edges. Okay, so IP at the edge is equal to no gateway. There is no gateway, but it is found that these things are less secure. Next. So these are some of the development environments. In fact, these days many open tools are available. If somebody wants to get a feel of it, I'm sure the practical hands-on session also will focus some such activities related to development. And you have the Apple's HomeKit platform. Okay, HomeKit is a framework in iOS 8 that allows IOE app and hardware developers to easily configure and control IOE. Bluetooth and Wi-Fi are used for short-range communication. Gateway for a remote control is likely going to the Apple TV, etc. Next. Next. So these are some of the typical development environments. Next. Next. So this graph just shows the evolution of industrial IOE in the years to come. The next. Close to that, you also have the data analytics. Next. Now the session is open for discussion, so you may chat with me.
Sir, good afternoon. This is Palanivel from Pondicherry University.
Yeah.
Just there are two questions from me.
Yeah.
One is, can we apply IoT in mission critical applications? Say, for example, military applications.
Yes, definitely.
Okay.
In fact, IoT has come to stay with us.
Okay, sir, but the delay.
Sorry?
The delay, so that is capturing the data and storing in the cloud.
You have sophisticated tools. Okay. With all this advancement taking place, in fact, that's an excellent domain for IoT, or now we call it IOE. Okay. I am sure you recollect the need to switch over to IOE. Okay. Because of number of devices getting more, and the IPv6 has come to stay, and things like that. Okay, so it is definitely possible to deploy this in mission critical application.
Application. Okay.
Now, healthcare is one domain where you find a lot of IoT, IoE applications are there.
Okay, sir. Sir, the another question is,
Yeah.
can we use to identify the fake currency?
Well, yes, you can use it.
Yeah, if we
You
use it,
just see
definitely
this.
our economic will be
This
improved. So,
yeah, just look at this one. These days, people talk not just IoE, but industrial IoE. Okay, so you have one industry specializing detection of fake currency. Yes, it can use it. In fact, there is hardly any area, okay, where people don't want IoE. As I already mentioned, it is ubiquitous. Whether you like it or not, it is there. Like your smartphone, does many things. Actually, you don't need many of them, but still, it is designed in such a way that, as I shared it with you, that first time I saw the message, congrats, you walked 10,000 steps. Arey, what is this? I never asked, but it is giving. Like that, so many things are there, whether you like it or not. Okay. There is one in the chat box I want to ask. Cloud's collection of data is safe. Okay. Answer is it is not safe, but there are mechanisms to ensure that your data remains safe. Okay. If I'm deny permission of app, then I'm still under owner's third eye. Well, the moment, please note that in the process of downloading app, you would have already downloaded some app. Okay, and please note that these things are stored in a private cloud, and we don't know how these app vendors interact with one another. Often we say, no, if I come to know about this customer, give details about him, something like that. Okay, so all these things are in a public thing, and nothing is what do you say safe. Okay, is transferring data in cloud safe? Answer yes, no. It is safe provided you follow some protocol. Okay, it is not safe because of what is it? There are certain tools which will extract some sensitive information. How good using Raspberry Pi comparing to others for home appliances like Sri, or maybe this question I don't have any immediate answer. Maybe I will find out and share it with you, Gokul. Okay. Then how we skill development in this field is okay. A nice question. So what, I listened to you about IoT, IoE, and you claim that everything is IoT, everything is IoE, smart sensors and things like that. Well, now you are going to have hands-on sessions. Okay, I am sure you will be exposed to many development sites, many development skills that will be done in the hands-on session. So definitely, every one of you can pick up some, application of IoT. How can we manage huge amount of data evolving due to IoT? See, one is that who is the owner of this data? Okay, number one. Number two, what is it you want to do that? Okay, please note that about huge amount of data for individual is hardly any use. Okay, so it all depends. What is your requirement? Can you afford to store them in some cloud facilities? Then, having stored, you should not keep quiet. Okay, it's not that I buy 10 shirts, I keep them. I start using it. Okay, so in a similar way, I store the data for possible future use. Okay, and I should be willing to spend money on storing data. I should be willing to, process data. I should be willing to share data and things like that. Okay, but for many individuals, if you ask what is it you get out of it, the answer may not be much. Okay, so it all depends. What's your objective? Why do you want to store huge data, and how long you want to stay, and what is it you want to process? Okay. Are there any local companies that are working in this field of IoT? Many are there. Of course, the best place is you can do Google search, and I'm sure in the hands-on session, Mr. Rajaram will share many such details related to companies working on IoT. What are the basic or essential knowledge required to start career in IoT? Also, from where I can start my learning journey? A wonderful question. Okay, and what I have done is I have just taken you to a very fascinating journey of IoT. That's all. What is IoT? Why we talk about it? Where do you come across? And things like that. Okay. Now, maybe with a little effort, you can pick up some further expertise in IoT. Okay, there are endless opportunities available in IoT. Okay, anything and everything you touch, from small to medium to large, you have plenty of opportunities. Okay, so depending on your expertise, depending on your strength and things like that, you can always consider some gainful career in IoT. Okay, what's the average package of an IoT engineer? Okay, I don't have the exact thing. Okay. So, can we continue this slide with some more details are there?
Yes, sir. Sure, sir.
Just 2-3 more slides. Meantime, I wish to thank Balaji. I wish to thank Balakrishnan. I wish to thank Begum. I wish to thank Divya. I wish to thank Sindhu. I wish to thank Ajit. I wish to thank Kaliappan, etc., etc. I think I have just thanked the cross section of the participants. Yes, no? Okay. So, next. Please note this one. You have a consortium for industrial internet. Okay. And this consortium is done by leading industries, leading global industries such as GE, Intel, Cisco, AT&T, IBM. Next. Next. So, IOE in the oil and gas industry. Next. What are the major challenges? The major challenges, as I already mentioned, nothing is free in this world. The moment you go to internet, you do browsing, few things are extracted, whether you like it or not, without your knowledge. Okay. So security has been a major challenge, and meaning that it's an excellent domain. If somebody wants to consider security in IoE, plenty of opportunities are available. Yeah. Normally, the presentation is meant for academician or somebody who would like to specialize further, should have some reputed conferences related to IoT, reputed journals related to IoT or IoE. Okay, so that people can consider focusing on these things. This is mainly beneficial if somebody wants to, specialize one or more subtopics in IoT. Okay. You get to know what is the current thing in IoT. You get to know what is the published work in these journals. So I have listed some of the conferences. I have listed some of the journals. Next. And believe me, these are all resources I have collected from different references. I have listed them here. Next. 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 Yeah, we already had some questions or chats. Okay. Any further questions or discussion? My email ID is there in the second slide, and I am sure the participants can interact with me on this topic or related topic through my mail ID. Otherwise, I'll just message it. And I really appreciate your interest in knowing, in attending this short-term certificate course on IoT and automation. And I am really envy each of you, because you got an opportunity to know, thanks to the initiatives of RGN, YD, then NIT TRICHY, then NIT Jalandhar and the NTS, with the support from Ministry of Youth and Sports, Government of India, for enabling this activity. And I am sure many of you should consider picking up more interest in this upcoming field. And again, one novelty of this certificate course is that you have hands-on sessions every day, and it's a very perfect thing that you have listened to some kind of theory, and you need not specialize more on the theory, and you can quickly pick up some interesting applications with the help of this hands-on training. Okay. So if no further questions, I congratulate each one of you for having registered this short-term certificate course on IoT and automation. I am sure you will enjoy. You will enjoy a very gainful learning come and the practicals in the rest of this 5-day session. Thank you.